Okay, so the title of my presentation is Designing Future Life and Living, Consciousness, Machines, and Ecologies. And here is the course concept. This course aimed at identifying some of the current and future key conditions for creative practices. It made the assumption that those are largely located within the fields of technology and ecology. And as such, I was taking a post-humanist perspective, meaning to think the human being as intertwined with non-human, organic and inorganic beings within a larger planetary system. Therefore, three keywords were derived: consciousness, machines, and ecologies, which then became the title of the course. And this is our amazing team: Sun Shujie, Tsai Wenqiao, Shinru Hu, and myself. A couple of words about the teaching method. Basically, I took a conceptual approach, meaning that concept was prioritized over medium specificity, material, or specific hands-on implementation. The course was essentially about ideas. I was trying to encourage the students to think in an interdisciplinary way. I personally believe that for practices that intend to make a contribution to the urgent questions of our time, that way of thinking is very important. It's very important to work across disciplines. Initially, I had made plans for a series of workshops, seminars, lectures on site at the CAA when it was clear that it would not be possible because of the conditions of the pandemic. I actually changed my mind and came up with this idea of inviting 9 guest speakers from a broad range of fields and disciplines to present their research to the students. And this is how they were chosen. Chinese language was important to make it more accessible, the relevance of the respective field to the conceptual orientation of the course. It was important for me to move beyond the obvious field of creative practices, art, design, architecture. I thought that the students would have access to those in an easier way anyway. So I was trying to really work and pick from a broad range of fields that nonetheless would be closely connected to the course. Our first speaker was Professor Zhaojian Zhu, and he was lecturing on neuromorphic computing. Neuromorphic computing basically refers to the development of chips based on brain architecture. Our second guest was Leah Summer, and Leah was lecturing on permaculture. So permaculture is an approach to agriculture, ecological design, environmental design based on close attention to and modeling of natural ecosystems. So in the face of the ecological crisis that we're having concerning global warming, pollution, fossil fuels, permaculture is a really interesting approach to think more about. Fang Yu was lecturing on enactivism. Enactivism argues that cognition, meaning the ways in which we acquire knowledge and which we learn, is not a passive process, but that it is created through interaction with the world. Also a very important subject, for example, for the field of robotics. Wang Yanyan was lecturing on the interpretations of quantum mechanics. Quite a dense subject. I think this was maybe the most, let's say, difficult or, again, dense, nonetheless extremely interesting. Quantum mechanics may have implications on the fundamental nature of the world and the universe, such as in, for instance, the many worlds interpretation. for meaning the branching of worlds on the occasion of a quantum event. When we talk about illusion, for instance, that is an important and interesting subject to think about. Guo Jiaming was lecturing on stem cell derived human brain organoids. What's an organoid? An organoid is a very interesting micro organ, a system of producing micro organs in vitro from self-organized tissue cultures that are derived from stem cells. So for me, it was very important to not just think about organs and systems and how systems of organs become organisms, but also about this idea of self-organization, for instance, that is very important, has many implications on many fields, aside from the natural sciences, also concerning urbanism, architecture, all kinds of ways in which forms come into being. Professor Jianshui Tang was again lecturing on neuromorphic computing, but here with a focus on artificial intelligence. To further develop artificial intelligence, new hardware architecture is needed. So it's very interesting and important to think about how we can move beyond the current existing computer architecture. Dr. Liu Yuan was lecturing on intestinal organoids. Those overlapped with the presentation of Guo Jiaming, but it's very good to kind of sort of broaden the perspective in that way. I believe actually, let's say the concept of the organ, when we think about organisms, when we also think about artificial organisms, was really interesting. And it was good that we had some more time and space and room to think about these things and questions. Dr. Zhoni Zhang was lecturing on a very, very interesting topic, cognitive robotics. Cognitive robotics is concerned with the intelligent behavior of robots, or rather, with how we get robots to behave intelligently, which of course is a large question that has many implications, and especially of course giving the machine orientation of the course, this was a highly relevant and very, very interesting presentation. Finally, Tsai Li-Wen, curator at the A4 Art Museum in Chengdu, was presenting on art and curating in the lockdown. This was a great moment for us to reflect upon the conditions under which we actually came together, which we had not done before. We kind of had moved immediately into the lectures and then also production. But here we could take a moment to think about what does it mean to be producing, whether as artists or designers or architects in whichever creative fields we may be in, but what does it mean to be producing at this current time, and what is the new normal going to be? How is this current moment going to, in a way, change conditions and may in fact change the world in certain ways. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to present the top 4 groups within our larger set of groups, and I will just give you a quick introduction. The titles of these projects are first, Will I Get Sick? The second is called Habitat. The third is called Consciousness Factory. And the fourth is called Biolighting. We've got some keywords here. I'm just going to quickly go through them. For instance, you have the first one, biosynthetic robots, robot ethics, care, human-machine interaction. The second one, pollution, human-animal entanglements, post-humanism. We've covered that already. Third one, consciousness factory, consciousness uploading, human enhancement, cross-species communication, biolighting, smart cities, renewable energy, urban ecologies. All of those are subjects that are very, very closely related to the orientation of the course. So let me get into it. Here are a couple of words about the grading criteria. I will briefly go through this. The first I have called critical analysis, context, and vision, meaning essentially the ability to develop an idea. That's what this first part is about. The second one, research, meaning the ability to ground the idea as imaginary or as imaginative as it may be in current research and, let's say, a future perspective of how the associated fields might develop. Second part, research. Third part, obvious and pretty self-explanatory, presentation and visualization. How was this idea, how was this project actually visually presented? Good. So now let's move into the four groups. First one, Will I Get Sick?, was about the idea of biological robots. The group had done excellent research on what's called xenobots. These are biological robots, micro robots, and they have imagined what happens if robots in the future can actually get sick. This, of course, relates also to robot consciousness, machine consciousness. What are the ethical implications of conscious machines? How are we going to be treating conscious machines and interacting with them? The group has made these posters about medication for sick robots. This, for example, what you're seeing here is a robot shelter. So the research is excellent, the visualization is excellent, the topic is in very, very close relation to the course material from all kinds of perspectives. This is an excellent project. This is some animation. And now we're moving on. Second one, habitat. This group has imagined a world where, in fact, where the natural resources have come to an end, and so animals are starting to build or having machines built for them a new set of housing, a new set of homes. You can see it here, collective housing of birds and Circulation Street. Here you have a group home for bees. This is an outstanding, wonderful project that is really weird. It's really, I think the group has done something that they may not even be totally aware of what they've done. It's a really kind of nice visualization of some of the, let's say, post-humanist implications. This sort of entanglement between animals and human beings and also inorganic matter. So this is a really wonderful project. Has a certain very nice architectural dimension to it. It is perfectly visualized. From my perspective, this is an outstanding project. The third one, Consciousness Factory. That has to do with, again, consciousness extraction, consciousness storage, consciousness uploading. And the group has developed a system where, in a way in the future, you could basically order consciousness online, have it delivered, exchange it for your consciousness. So we could all, in a sense, switch consciousnesses, right? There's a certain intersubjective dimension to it. The visualization is outstanding. It is very nice from all kinds of perspectives. Again, from the way I feel about it. It precisely relates to subjects we've discussed. It is outstanding in the way, again, it's visualized, but also the vision it attempts to convey to us. There's some kind of animation. I'm just trying to play through it here quickly. And again, it is outstandingly visualized. This is the website that the group has developed, where one could actually order consciousness. So I was extremely excited about this project. The last one is called biolighting. This is it's a precise, it's a simple, clever project using bioluminescence for streetlights. And here you can see some designs for these streetlights. They're very nicely made. Again, I really appreciate the architectural dimension of it. It is a clearly problem-solving oriented project, nicely made, nicely visualized. It has everything that I was expecting of a good project to put forth. Again, I'm trying to quickly play the animation. You can see it here. And this one's in the desert. Again, I am personally really interested in this project, and it's outstanding. So to conclude, there were clearly limitations based on the online format of the course. Likewise, the online format has also opened up possibilities and opened up new perspectives, and I think this is the right way to look at it. And a future offline course, I propose, should take advantage of what has been opened up, and of course it would allow for a much more, let's say, in-depth elaboration of these subjects, approaches, and possibilities. So, a big thank you to the Young to Young 2020 Organizing Committee. Again, my amazing team, San Shujie, Tsai Wen Xiao, Zhang Ting, who did the interview, and Xinru Hu, all our generous and distinguished guest speakers, and of course, Professor He Jianping and Professor Zhang Yu. For any further questions, you're also very welcome to just get in touch with me and send me an email. Thank you so much.